Walters is back for another season as the official bar of the Nats Chat podcast. Walters is the best spot to go before and after home games, located at the southeast corner of Capitol and N Streets, right across the street from the ballpark.
Fifth in slugging, sixth in extra base hits in the National League, 10th in on-base percentage. Seventh in walks and swings and drives one to left center field deep. This is way back. May go. Going. Gone. Goodbye. Another laser beam to left center field. Into the Budweiser red seats. An opposite field. 2-run homer for James Wood to get the Nationals on the board. That's home run number 19. RBIs 53 and 54. As he completes the home run trot. The Nationals 2 and the Rockies nothing.
Ludus deals and a swing and a base hit into right center field. McMahon froze on contact. He's going to be waved in anyway. Young's throw toward the plate is going to run out of steam, and the Rockies take the lead here in the 11th. On their final out, Adams leads off third. 1-0 pitch to Wood. Swinging a high fly ball, center field deep. Back goes Hilliard to the warning track at the wall. It's gone! James Wood does it! The long nightmare is over! Nats win it 4-3. He puts it on the batter's eye hill with a soaring, towering home run to straightaway center field. They're mobbing James Wood as he crosses the plate. His first career walk-off homer, his second homer of the day in dramatic fashion. A much-needed sigh of relief. They have won a ball game.
For a minute there, I thought, they'll probably pitch around him, but he was poised. He took the splitter, but he, as he always does, he's got that slow heartbeat. He's, got a good pitch to hit, and he hit in center field. And I just was like, hey man, please go. I don't want to play no more. Let's go. Let's get on the plane and let's win a game. And it was awesome.
And welcome to Nats Chat. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. Mark Zuckerman is off for this installment of the podcast, but I am joined by the creator and executive producer of the podcast, Tim Shovers. And at last, we can again talk about a Nationals victory. The 11-game losing streak is over, came to an end on Thursday afternoon, and via quite the win, a 4-3 11-inning win over the MLB worst Colorado Rockies at Nationals Park to snap the 11-game losing streak, to avoid a 4-game sweep, and to conclude a 1-6 homestand against the National League East worst Miami Marlins and MLB worst Colorado Rockies. And what a way for this losing streak to end. A walk-off, 2-out, 2-run homer by James Wood to center field in the bottom of the 11th inning, his second 2-run homer of the game. If you're going to have an 11-game losing streak, nobody wants that, but if you're going to have one, this is the way to end one, with this kind of a win, with that kind of a moment. You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email the show, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. And we have a website. You can check out natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. Coming up later in the show, part 2 of Tim's conversation with Bob Kendrick, president of the Negro Leagues Museum, about Cool Papa Bell. This installment of Nats Chat brought to us by Mason Kalfas, the top legal recruiter in Washington, D.C. Mason has been with us since our first season. You can reach him at 202-486-3535. The Nats in MLB's 2025 regular season now are 31-44. Nats manager Davey Martinez, during his postgame press conference on Thursday afternoon, got emotional. We'll get into that. Tim, I don't know if whatever tears Davey may or may not have had on Thursday afternoon were tears of joy or sadness or relief or maybe everything combined. But man, a much needed win for this team on Thursday afternoon.
Man, did this team need a win before they got on the plane to go to Los Angeles for a 3-city West Coast road trip. I mean, if they lost 3-2 today in extras and they were trailing 3-2 entering the bottom of the 11th, that's a 12-game losing streak. That's an 0-7 homestand. As it is, it's 1-6 homestand. Not too much to celebrate. But I like that Davey got emotional because it reminds us that he's human, just like all of us. All of us have tough stretches at work, and then we get on the other side of it. But this was just a cathartic win just to, snap the skid and start fresh before you go out to Dodger Stadium.
And who knows what happens out west. I mean, I think this team needs a road trip. This team needs to get out of this area. And, you know, if you're going to go on a lengthy trip out west, now's a good time for that. Get out of the D.C. area, get to a time zone far removed from the Eastern time zone. And maybe, you know, in being in the other part of the country, you can sort of get your minds right, get your game right, and pick up some wins. We'll see. This was another lackluster game for the Nats offensively. Just 4 runs in 11 innings, just 8 hits, no walks, just 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. The 8 hits were 2 home runs, a double, and 5 singles. But the 2 homers came from one man, James Wood, who basically decided, hey, enough of this 11-game losing streak, okay? It's time to take over and put this team on my back. And he did as a franchise player should do. James Wood, as the Nats starting left fielder and number 2 batter, went 2 for 5 with 2 2-run homers. Wood, in a Nats 2-run fourth, had a first pitch 2-run homer to center field for a 2-0 Nats lead. The homer per Statcast went a projected 403 feet and had an exit velocity of 110 miles per hour. And Wood, in a Nats 2-run 11th, had a walk-off 2-out, 2-run homer to center field for a 4-3 Nats win to end the team's 11-game losing streak. That homer per Statcast went a projected 428 feet and had an exit velocity of 110.2 miles per hour. So James Wood now for this regular season, number 1 among all qualified Nats players in OPS, 944. Number 1 among all Nats in home runs, 20. And remember when we talked about him having a bad month of June? He was having a bad month of June. He no longer is having a bad month of June. His OPS for this month of June now is up to 899. So much for his bad month. Even this guy's bad months end up not being bad, end up being good months. But Tim, where would this team be without James Wood?
Well, that's a really good question. Well, they'd be on a 12-game losing streak at the very least, I'll tell you that much. But, you know, we have an expression for an ace, you know, a stopper. Stop a 5-game skid, something like that. Come on the mound, ace, shuts them down, gets the win. Rarely is a hitter a stopper, but James Wood was that today. I mean, they scored 4 runs, and all 4 RBIs came from James Wood, came from the pair of 2-run homers that he hit, and he carried the team on his back today. And it also now, as the season goes on, it's going to be fun to see how many home runs this guy hits. And if he can really take a shot at Alfonso Soriano's franchise mark of 46 homers. We're at 20 as we are ahead of the halfway mark. So that would be a fun end of season wrinkle to follow if this continues.
Well, he's certainly on pace for more than 40 homers, as you just outlined. And, you know, if there's such a thing as having an appropriate record holder in terms of most homers in a regular season by a Nats player since the franchise came here. Look, Alfonso Soriano's 2006 season was great, but he was not, shall we say, long for the Nats. James Wood would be a more appropriate record holder, in my opinion, so would love to see James Wood get that record. But, you know, I was thinking about this with James Wood. So there is the talk of the Nats need to sign him to a contract extension that eats up his arbitration years and eats up some of his free agency years, and he is represented by the Boris Corporation. And of course, we do have the major uncertainty with Nats ownership in terms of how in truly is the Lerner ownership group. Wood is not set to be a free agent until the 2030-2031 offseason, so there is some time to worry about that. You know, you don't have to get all caught up in it now. Although, as we came to learn with people like outfielder Juan Soto, you need to do this stuff early. You can't wait until the guy is, you know, coming up on free agency. But all of that aside, this guy's already really good. He's in his age 22 season. Regardless of what happens with him contractually, I do think that there needs to be some urgency here to capitalize on what this team has in this guy. He's already a superstar. Don't waste these superstar years. Who knows how long he'll be here? Maybe he's here for 15 years. I hope that he is. But if he isn't, you want to make sure to capitalize on those years that you do have him. And whatever you want to say about what happened with Juan Soto, you can't say that the Nats did not capitalize on Soto's years here, right? The Nats won a World Series with that guy. The Nats were a competitive team with that guy. And you want to see that happen with James Wood. There is urgency for this rebuild to end from a standpoint of it has gone on for way too long. But I also think there is added urgency for this rebuild to end because you want to take advantage of having what you have in James Wood. And that is a very special player.
Well said. There's so many things to that. There's big picture, there's small picture, but small picture, James Wood is going to represent the Nationals hopefully next month at the All-Star game. That'd be a great opportunity to showcase and remind everyone that they do have this young 22-year-old star that you mentioned. I will say, yes, you are correct that the right move on paper is to lock him up early with the extension. The Nats are 0 for 1 with that move with Keibert Ruiz. So I don't know, forget everything else with ownership for a second. I don't know if ownership is at all interested in that, though Wood is more proven than Ruiz at this point. Also, the Juan Soto deal directly, I can't believe that Soto got the money that he got, and I don't know if the superstars are going to continue that escalation. He got the next year after Ohtani money. The market could reset itself a little bit, and so I just don't know if now's the right time to negotiate with Boris, is where I'm going with this. But you are correct. If we could snap our fingers, lock this guy up, buy out his arbitration years, and on we go.
Yeah, and the problem, again, is that if you wait, it's only going to get probably more expensive, and he's only probably going to get better. I mean, a guy who is this good this soon, it's not a fluke. When you're this good this soon, you're special. And James Wood already is special. And what a performance by him on Thursday afternoon. I mentioned the Nats for the game totaling 8 hits. 7 of the 8 hits came from the top 3 batters in the lineup. C.J. Abrams as the Nats starting shortstop and number 1 batter, 2 for 5 with 2 singles. James Wood as the Nats starting left fielder and number 2 batter, 2 for 5 with 2 2-run homers. And Luis Garcia Jr., he is the Nats starting second baseman and number 3 batter, 3 for 4 with a double and 2 singles. He did commit a throwing error as his rough defensive season continues. But Wood, Abrams, and Garcia, those are the Nats' top 3 qualified players in OPS. Wood is number 1 at 944. Abrams is number 2 at 814. And Garcia is number 3 at 725. Hey, are you a law firm partner or associate looking to transition to a new firm because of compensation, or your firm recently committed to $100 million in pro bono work that you disagree with? Or maybe your firm pinch hits Josh Bell in the 9th inning with a case on the line? If this sounds like you should explore the lateral market and give Mason Kalfas a call. Mason is the top legal recruiter in the Washington, D.C. area. He has been a Nats Chat podcast advertiser since the beginning of our show. Mason will work with you to create a marketing and business plan to pitch to new firms and dramatically increase your compensation and or day-to-day happiness in your new job. Mason has placed partners and associates in just about every large law firm in D.C. and New York, and he can provide plenty of testimonials from candidates he has placed on the outstanding service that they received. You need a strong advocate in your corner to find the best law firm out there for your future career. Call Mason Kalfas today, 202-486-3535.
Life as a small business owner, everything is your problem, and there aren't enough hours in the day. That's where LinkedIn Jobs, and by proxy Nats Chat, are here to help. For those crucial hires that you absolutely can't whiff on, turn to LinkedIn Jobs. Simply post your job, and LinkedIn will take it from there, making sure it gets in front of the properly qualified candidates who are searching themselves. Find out why more than 2.5 million small business owners have turned to LinkedIn Jobs to grow their staff. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/natschat. That's linkedin.com/natschat to post your jobs for free. linkedin.com/natschat. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, fellas, I need you to stop what you're doing and go download PrizePicks if you haven't already. Because once you download PrizePicks and use code BACKYARD, you get $50 on us once you place the first $5 lineup. And in that lineup, the reason I love it so much, because all you have to do is place more or less on whatever player you want to rock with that night. And you can do it for as many players or as little players as you like. And it doesn't matter if I'm watching basketball, hockey, golf, baseball, esports, doesn't matter. I can put them all in my lineup. The reason I like firing on PrizePicks so much during the summer is because I travel all the time, and PrizePicks is available in more than 28 states, including California, which I love summers in California. So I can fire on PrizePicks with all my friends and swear out the games with them. And it doesn't matter what we're watching, we always get to enjoy the game a little bit more. And lastly, fellas, there's also a special going on during basketball playoffs. Every time you do a $5 3-pick basketball flex play during the playoffs, you automatically get entered in the Prize Picks sweepstakes for courtside tickets to the finals. So download the app today and use code BACKYARD to get $50 instantly after you play the first $5 lineup. That's code BACKYARD to get $50 instantly after you play the first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Henry coming set. Arcia waits. The kick, here it comes. Waving, swing and a miss. He struck him out with a breaking ball running to the outside. The aggressive Arcia could not hold on a pitch well out of the zone. So great job by Henry. Comes in and strikes out Hilliard. He strikes out Arcia. And after the two hits, runners left second and third.
The Nats starting pitcher in this 4-3 11-inning win over the Rockies on Thursday afternoon was Trevor Williams. He allowed 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings with 6 strikeouts versus 1 walk. He did give up 8 hits, which were 2 doubles and 6 singles, but he threw a lot of strikes, 87 pitches, 57 strikes, just 30 balls. And this actually was a second consecutive good outing for Trevor Williams. He and the Nats 4-3 loss to the Marlins this past Saturday afternoon officially allowed 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings. Now, we get it. Both the Marlins and Rockies are bad, but maybe, hopefully, Trevor Williams is getting better. His numbers still are brutal. He, for this regular season, 15 starts, ERA of 5.54, whip of 1.45. But we, over these last 2 starts, have seen the Trevor Williams of last season when he was healthy. So that has been good. And the Nats bullpen in this win over the Rockies on Thursday afternoon, really good. 5 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run unearned in 5 2/3 innings with 7 strikeouts. Cole Henry faced 2 batters, got 2 outs, each via a swinging strikeout. He came into the game at the top of the 6th with runners on second and third, 1 out, and the game tied at 2. And he generated back-to-back swinging strikeouts. Jose A. Ferrer tossed 1 2/3 scoreless innings with 2 swinging strikeouts. Kyle Finnegan tossed 1 1/3 perfect innings, including a perfect top of the 9th to preserve a 2-all tie. Zach Brixey tossed a scoreless and hitless top of the 10th to preserve a 2-all tie. And Ryan Ludis in the top of the 11th allowed an unearned run, gave up a leadoff first pitch RBI single by Michael Tolia to right center field for a 3-2 Rockies lead. But a really well-pitched game by the Nats. Williams good for a second consecutive outing. And the bullpen, which had not had a very good series, some really good stuff in this game.
When Williams pitches well or pitches fine, I take that as a nice W and I move onward. I don't really expect too many of these, but, good for him that he had it today. Bullpen got the job done today. Team needed a win. They stepped up, only gave up the 1 run in extras. The Nats didn't come through in the bottom of the 10th, which is a real shame because Brixey stepped up in the top of the 10th. A pitcher like Brixey inherits a ghost runner and gets out of it, but good job for them. The Nats, as I said, they needed to stop the skid today in the bullpen, and Trevor Williams helped that happen.
Yeah, Williams did a good job. Henry, Ferrer, Finnegan, and Brixey in particular, very impressive with the work that they did in this game. It's funny, the guy who allowed the run, Ludis, ended up getting the win for this game. Another example of why you cannot ever put any meaning into pitcher wins and pitcher losses. But we've talked about that many times. All right, Davey Martinez getting emotional during his postgame press conference on Thursday afternoon. Let's play that for you right now. You'll hear Davey get emotional in talking about Nats catcher Keibert Ruiz. Here you go.
I can't say enough about Keibert. Keibert called yesterday till 11:30 at night. Talked to me yesterday about I'm playing. I want to be on the field when we win. What a job. I mean, awesome. Regardless of if he hits or not, he stepped up, man, caught a great game. So these guys got heart. I love it.
With Keibert in particular, why is that a moment that stands out to you so much?
I mean, the fact that he wants to play says a lot, especially to play in a game like that. Says a lot about this team.
All right, so Davey Martinez, a man who has been known to get emotional during a press conference or two, getting emotional right there. It clearly has been a very rough last few weeks for Martinez. I mean, you think about all that has been happening here. The 11-game losing streak, the now infamous post-game press conference comments from this past Saturday afternoon, right? Him saying, quote, "It's never on coaching, end quote, and him getting just shellacked by both local media members and national media members and Washington Nationals fans for saying what he said. we've had the constant talk about whether he should/will be fired. So you've had, in theory, a lot weighing on the mind of Davey Martinez. And it really felt like we, during this press conference, got a release of that emotion. And we got acknowledgement of, yeah, this has been tough. This has not been easy. And as much as Davey tries to always put on a happy face and talk about going 1-0 the next day, he's a human being. And he's like the rest of us. Like you said earlier, we all at times have our problems and difficulties. And I thought that was a very humanizing and actually, in a lot of ways, very endearing moment from Davey Martinez during that postgame presser on Thursday afternoon, him getting emotional. And like we said, getting emotional and talking about Keibert Ruiz, saying that Keibert Ruiz called Davey Martinez and told him, I want to play on Thursday afternoon, even with the game going late on Wednesday night off the lengthy rain delay.
Yeah, props to Ruiz for that. That's a franchise catcher move. We've obviously been criticizing him for his poor play, but that is an off the field action for Ruiz to step up there and showing, early veteran leadership. As for Martinez, like most of you listening have probably been there where you've gone to bed wondering if you were going to lose your job the next day, or have gotten, left your place and weren't sure if you were going to come home with the job as well. I have been on the wrong end of those before. I know what it's like. So you talk about endearing. I use the word relatable, which is, rare for us and a manager. But in this specific case, as an adult who's been through life experiences as well, I related to it.
It's a funny deal with Keibert Ruiz because he does continue to struggle. He, on Thursday afternoon, as the Nats starting catcher and number 8 batter, went 0 for 4. His OPS for this regular season is down to .588. I mean, that just is not acceptable. But his struggles have never been an indictment of him as a person. Like, none of this stuff means that he isn't a good guy, isn't a good teammate. We know that he plays a lot and that he wants to play a lot. I've always wondered if he plays maybe too much and if maybe less would be more with this guy, that maybe the wear and tear of the grueling position that is catcher maybe is part of why he struggles so much. But whatever the case, he clearly is someone who has the respect of Davey Martinez, and that was very clearly communicated in what Davey Martinez had to say during the postgame presser on Thursday afternoon. Hey, Al Galdi here for Window Nation. July 4th weekend is around the corner, and for many people, that means that summer vacation is coming up. Will your windows keep your home protected while you're away? Save yourself the headache of coming home to a potential break-in by replacing your windows today with Window Nation windows. Right now, when you buy 4 windows, you get 4 windows free, plus you get a free exterior door when you purchase a house full of windows. And on top of that, you won't have to put any money down, pay any interest, or deal with any monthly payments for 24 months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. In this economy, what Window Nation is offering right now is a great deal. Your electricity bill is another good indicator of how well your windows are working, especially with summer temperatures here to stay. Lucky for you, Window Nation offers top quality, energy efficient vinyl windows built to withstand the sun's heat and keep your home cool. And did I mention that Window Nation windows come with a lifetime warranty? Don't miss your chance to protect and upgrade your home with Window Nation windows. Buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free now through June 30th. And remember, you won't pay a thing for 24 months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. And tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
1 ball, no strikes to Betts. Fitting into the belt. He kicks and deals. Swinging a ground ball right side, softly hit. Garcia has it. He'll throw on to first, and this one is over. Finnegan pumps his fist. He nails down the save, and the Nationals defeat the Dodgers 6-4 in Game 1.
The Nats get the win. 0-7 on this homestand would have just been ungodly. At least, the Nats do salvage something, even though this ended up being a disaster of a homestand. I mean, let's make that crystal clear. Things still are not right. it's not like all of a sudden it's now raining, candy canes and lollipops here. Like, the Nats have a lot of work to do to try to make up for what happened during this 11-game losing streak. But they head out west now, a 9-game trip out west, beginning with a 3-game series at the National League West leading Los Angeles Dodgers. So the Nats go from playing the worst team in the majors to now playing one of the best teams in the majors, and in playing the best team in the majors over the last, say, decade or so, the mighty Dodgers. Game 1 Friday night at 10:10. MacKenzie Gore will be the Nats starting pitcher. Clayton Kershaw will be the Dodgers starting pitcher. How do you like that pitching matchup? Gore versus Kershaw. Game 2 Saturday night at 10:10. Jake Irvin will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 3 Sunday afternoon at 4:10. Michael Soroka will be the Nats starting pitcher. It's a shame the Friday night game is so late, because that's the kind of pitching matchup you want as many people to see as possible. Gore versus Kershaw. That could be special.
Really could. It's sort of one guy on his way out, another one on the ascension. It's a late start, but if you want to watch the first few innings, you get the 10 o'clock hour if that fits your schedule. You are as good as your next day starter, and the Nats are bringing out their best starting pitcher for the series opener in Los Angeles. I will be interested to see if Shohei Ohtani takes the mound again. He threw an inning as an opener the other day. He's so valuable that he can't spend at least one day in the minor league rehab start. He has to make his minor league rehab starts in the first inning against the San Diego Padres. But to your, it's not all candy canes and lollipops point, Al, I would still be very nervous if I were Darnell Coles. And the way this is going, I am a believer in getting rid of either the pitching coach or the hitting coach, such as the Nationals did in 2019, by the way. The Nats themselves have done this move. And, these paltry offensive box scores, especially against bad pitching, I'm getting sick of it. We're all getting sick of it. And this win today does not take the pressure off of him at all.
No, I mean, the offense did not have a very good game. And like we talked about, if not for one man named James Wood, we're maybe singing a much different tune on this installment of the podcast. The question, though, to me still comes down to, is the coaching bad, or are the players just bad? Is this an issue of Davey Martinez and his coaching staff not maximizing what is already in place? Or is this an issue of Nats president of baseball operations and general manager Mike Rizzo not putting enough quality talent in place? There's a big difference between those two things. And more and more, as I've watched this team this season, I really have come to wonder and fear and be concerned about just how good truly are these players. We'll see. This will be, I think, in a lot of ways, a telling trip out west. Can the Nats get on the path of salvaging something here, or is this season now basically ruined? Is this season effectively wrecked by this 11-game losing streak? I mean, the good news all along has been that there still isn't a lot of season left. And so nothing is set in stone here. And even with the Nats, buried well under 500 now, there still is enough time to make this an encouraging step forward kind of season. Getting to 80 wins is not at all easy, and I certainly would not label that likely, but there are enough games left to where it's not beyond the realm of possibility. Like, something like that could happen. I mean, the Nats 31-44 to get to 80 wins would be a 9-win improvement from the back-to-back 71-win regular seasons. The Nats would have to go 49-38 the rest of the regular season. That's not going to be easy, okay? And I certainly would not put money on the Nats doing that. But, you think about it, you say, okay, if the team got hot, if certain guys got better, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. And so what you would like to see here is the Nats forge some kind of a charge to where they make a run at doing something like that. Maybe they don't get there, but I don't want to just write off the rest of this season off an 11-game losing streak. I still would like to think that this season is salvageable to at least some degree. We'll see.
I'm with you, even though it is tempting to write it off. We still have a few weeks until the All-Star break. We are 6 games away from the halfway mark, and really, honestly, though, Al, you're talking about 80 wins. Where my head is at right now is I really, really, really would like to avoid 100 losses, which is very much in play right now, sadly, and would like the team to get back into the 70s. If they can improve upon 71 and get into the mid-70s, that'd be great. But that's really where it is, because 100-loss season would just be the worst possible thing right now.
Well, that would be the nail in the coffin on, I think, a lot of people and on a lot of things when it comes to where this rebuild is at. So let us not even speak of this team reaching 100 losses. We're all in trouble if that is what ends up happening. You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. Hit us up on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email the show, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Tim Shovers, I'm Al Galdi. We'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast. And we leave you now with part 2 of Tim's great conversation with the president of the Negro Leagues Museum, Bob Kendrick, talking about an all-time great, Cool Papa Bell.
Cool Papa Bell pitched and played in the field. Was that common in the era, or was that just for the elite players?
Well, you had a lot of great two-way stars in the Negro Leagues. Cool Papa comes into the Negro Leagues as a pitcher. As a matter of fact, he earned his nickname Cool Papa while playing for then the St. Louis Stars. And he's in a jam facing the legendary Oscar Charleston with the bases loaded. And he strikes Charleston out. And someone on the Stars bench says, "That's one Cool Papa." And the name stuck. And Cool was cool. It's the greatest nickname in baseball history, bar none. Because if I tell people James Thomas Bell, nobody knows who the heck I'm talking about. But if you say Cool Papa, people know that name. See, when your nickname is so iconic that people think it's your name, then you know you must be special. And Cool Papa was special because Cool was cool. You know, he was, as Buck O'Neill would describe him, a snazzy dresser. He didn't have any vices, laid back, but a fierce competitor. And while we get lost by the blazing speed, and I tell people, I know it sounds fictional, but the speed was real. And you can get lost in the speed. But Cool Papa Bell may have been the greatest base runner this game has ever seen. So you combine great base running ability with blazing speed, you can see why these feats that sound like they come out of a video game. And I'm so glad that he's now in the video game, MLB The Show, where he would steal 2 bases on 1 pitch. You know, a single became a double became a triple, and a triple was an inside the park home run. And while he didn't have a great throwing arm, because he hurt his arm as a pitcher, and that's when they moved him to the outfield. And it was almost fateful, Tim, that he hurt his arm, because that's when the legend of Cool Papa Bell was really born. He could just run down everything out there. And so while he didn't have a great throwing arm, he had a quick release. And because he could play so shallow, you couldn't bloop one in front of him, and you had to hit it on a rope to get it over his head because he could get on his horse with the best of them and go get it.
Cool Papa Bell played on a lot of different teams, and the Nationals inducted him to their Ring of Honor in 2010. Which team or city do you most associate with him?
Well, you know, I think for me, it starts at the beginning with the St. Louis Stars. He played on some great St. Louis Stars teams. But, you know, as a member of both the Pittsburgh Crawfords and Homestead Grays, you know, is where I associate him most because those teams were great. Those teams were extraordinary teams, particularly those Grays teams that Cool Papa was a part of. They dominated everybody. They really did. And so he had such a tremendous run in the Negro Leagues. Man, it was Cool Papa Bell who would essentially discover a young Ernie Banks. Cool Papa was managing the junior Monarchs, as they called it, Kansas City Monarchs. They're playing down in Dallas, Texas. Cool Papa Bell sees Ernie Banks playing, and he calls Buck and says, "Buck, I got one for you." And Buck said, "Can he pick it?" Cool Papa says he can pick it, and Buck O'Neill, sight unseen, signs Ernie Banks to the Monarchs based on Cool Papa Bell's recommendation. But Tim, if Cool Papa Bell recommended you, you probably could play. And Ernie Banks could play. Ernie comes here to Kansas City to join the Monarchs. And of course, we know he would become Mr. Cub, the Cubs' first black player. But it all began with the Monarchs, and it all began with the recommendation of Cool Papa Bell. So Cool Papa Bell's imprint on this game is tremendous.
Okay, so you talk about from generation to generation. Cool Papa Bell, he foresaw Ernie Banks. And that leads to my final question for you here. Oscar Charleston, who we talked about a few years ago, has been called Willie Mays before Willie Mays, the previous generation. Cool Papa Bell got into the Hall of Fame. Cooperstown Hall of Fame 2 years ahead of Oscar Charleston. Why do you think that was? And do you think the nickname, which I agree is the best nickname in baseball history, had something to do with it?
I think it did, because all the lore and legend around Cool Papa, and Cool Papa was still alive. Yeah, Cool Papa was still alive at that time. And so I don't think it's as much an indictment on Charleston, because Charleston's one of the greatest players to ever play this game. But I think the fact that Cool Papa Bell was still with us, and that the lore and legend surrounding him, the moniker, Cool Papa, all of that, I think, aided in him getting into the National Baseball Hall of Fame maybe a little bit before Oscar Charleston. But it was deserved. Cool deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. He was a special kind of ball player. And like I said, Buck O'Neil said that he had the uncanny ability to cut the bag on the inside corner, where most folks had to run through that bag and take that big round turn. Cool could actually, he was so adept at base running that he could hit the inside corner with his left foot, his lead foot. And sometimes the umpire, Tim, would think that he had missed the bag and call him out, because they weren't accustomed to seeing guys run through the bag like that, and that he would be so low to the ground that he could actually smack the bag with his hand and not fall over. And that's what separated Cool from the other fast guys. There have always been fast guys in this game, but Cool was on a whole nother stratosphere when we come to talking about speed and the excitement that he generated on the base paths. If he bunted the ball back to the pitcher, the entire infield would start saying, hurry, because you got to get it over there quick. And if he hit it and it bounced twice, forget about it. As they would say, put it in your pocket, because you had no chance of getting it.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for your time, as always. Such a pleasure to talk to you, and for our listeners to learn about Cool Papa Bell. He's in a video game now, like you mentioned, which is so cool. These legends just keep growing and growing, and I urge listeners to go back to some of our past interviews from the past few Junes. But, Bob, thank you so much for taking the time, and I hope all is well in Kansas City.
Things are well. We're busy as ever here at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, Tim, working to build a brand new Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. So we announced plans to build a new 30,000+ square foot Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, going to be built around the corner. We've got our work cut out. We got to raise some $35 million to do it, but we're going to build Buck O'Neil a new house and a new home to tell more of these stories, because there are still so many stories that are yet to be told, and expand on some of the existing stories. So as I tell people, I am as excited as you could possibly be about having to raise $35 million. But we will get there, and I'm super excited about this new project that we're working on. But so things are very busy here, and looking forward to the rest of a great summer.
All right, well, great. And next time you're in D.C., let me know. I'd love to meet you for a drink near Mamie Peanut Johnson Plaza.
That sounds like a winner to me.